How's it going, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk a little bit today about what's been happening in the world of football with only about 50 hours, 48 hours or so, probably a bit longer than that, actually, in the 50s. Left of the transfer window, deadline day is approaching us. And if I'm honest with you, there's a lot going on today, a lot going on. And we're going to see this, aren't we? We're going to see last minute panics. We're going to see last minute links, heavy rumours, and we're going to see some other news in relation to Scott Parker today, who was sadly sacked. And I say sadly sacked because it's not that I have anything, any kind of love affair with Scott Parker. I mean, he's a half decent manager from what I can make out in terms of what he did at Fulham and also at Bournemouth. But when you lose 9-0 and you come out with comments that basically say that you're not being backed or you need to have a refresh, I think the writing's on the wall, to be honest with you. And I do believe that although he's done a good job with both Fulham and Bournemouth to get him in the Premier League, I don't think he's ever been equipped personally with the squads that were ever going to be good enough to give them a chance of a fight for survival. I think a relegation fight is probably reasonable to expect for a team like Bournemouth, and when he was at Fulham, to be fair. But I do look at what he's been given in the transfer window and can't say that they've done anything to impress me or at least give him half a chance of staying up. So I think when you look at it, it's really sad when any manager loses a job. But when you look at what Scott Parker had done at the weekend, it's not the result. It's the, what did he say? It's not the result. It's the amount of goals that they conceded that really was disappointing. I must admit, it was poor, and poor to say the least. They weren't great against Arsenal, Bournemouth. They were really poor against Liverpool. And Scott Parker losing his job is probably something he's not going to be too shocked about. Looking from the inside, because he obviously knows who he's fallen out with and what they're disagreeing on. But I think some would say it was a shock for some of the fan base to see it. And when the news come in, it wasn't something I was expecting when I woke up this morning. But at the same time, I wasn't too shocked personally. But perhaps I can understand why some of the footballing men are. 4 games in isn't long. It doesn't look great for Bournemouth now. I don't know who they're going to be looking to get in. A lot of rumours of Sean Dyche. Maybe Big Sam will come back into the mix. I imagine he's in and around the talk, isn't he, of most of these players. Most of these teams that are in and around the relegation battle. And listen, if there's any manager that's going to try and keep you up, you're going to go for a Sean Dyche or a Sam Allardyce type, aren't you? You know, they've got the experience of doing it before. And good managers, if you like that style and like that type. So let's see what is next for Bournemouth. Bournemouth have never really been that type, though. Obviously, Eddie Howe is a player that was great at Bournemouth, player and manager. And then to take him and do what he did with Bournemouth was just amazing. And he's now doing well at Newcastle. That style of management is the complete opposite of a Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce, though. So what will Bournemouth go for? Scott Parker wasn't really one to play boring tactics. He did have a go in some games, and he always allowed for them to give some fight and passion. But when you've got players like Kiefer Moore, Philip Billing, it's going to be a lump it long team. So for me, Sean Dyche or Sam Allardyce have probably got to work a lot, got something to work with a lot better than perhaps somebody who's going to come in and try and play football would. So this for me is going to be an interesting one of what happens with Bournemouth. Now, I said Bournemouth would finish bottom of the league. I stand by that. From what I've seen, they've given me nothing really to suggest that that's going to be changing too much, in my opinion. I do look at Bournemouth and thought they were great against Aston Villa, but then I've seen Aston Villa. Don't want to talk too loud because you got them tomorrow night, but I've seen Aston Villa this season and they've been poor in many games. So I have to see what we think of what's going on in the life of Bournemouth, but it doesn't look too good for them. I can't lie. However, the main thing I want to talk about is Arsenal's injury crisis. People are saying it's a crisis already. Thomas Partey's out, injured. El Neni looks to be out for a long period of time. So I do look at that now and think perhaps it's an area of concern for many Arsenal fans. But my question would be, why hasn't it always been? This is a situation now which could turn pretty worrying. Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Bellerin are 2 players we are being told that will probably end up leaving at the end of this transfer window. But what worries me is the players that are coming in now. Let's take a scenario of Thomas Partey getting injured. Let's take another scenario of El Neni getting injured, and then find that scenario comes true. What are you left with? Well, you're left with Xhaka and Lokonga. Now, Zinchenko can play there, but Erdegaard and Vieira are two players that can't play that holding role. Now, Lokonga can come and do a job. Xhaka can do a job, but that's already what El Neni was doing. That position needs strengthening. Now, if we're going to be linked with a centre midfielder, at the moment, the priority should not be Tielemans. It should be someone who can sit and hold. And Tielemans is definitely more of a left 8. He can definitely do a job there, but they've already got someone who can do a job there. We need two players in midfield, in my opinion, that one's going to hold and one's going to be a left 8. Then we got to look at the right wing situation now. Pepe's gone, and I still feel we're short in the forward role. So there's a lot that Arsenal might need to do in these coming days. Whether we're going to do that or not, I question. I think if we are going to look at anybody coming in, it will probably be two maximum players. I can't see it being anybody else. I've said before that we need a right back, a striker, and of course a left 8 as well as a defensive midfielder and a winger. I can't see all of that happening in the remainder of this window. What I can see happening is two players tops. Who are those two players going to be? Well, let's talk about who we are linked with at the moment. The only players in centre of midfield we're still linked with is Yuri Tielemans. Now, he's not going to be a player that comes in and replaces Thomas Partey, but what might happen is Granit Xhaka might be that replacement and Tielemans plays in the Xhaka mould. That could happen. Whether or not you see that happening due to the price that Leicester are asking for, player that we can get for free or even in January for a cut price is probably going to cost us 40 to 50 million in this transfer window. And that's why Arsenal, I'm being told, are not interested in this deal. So that one is gone quiet and could remain quiet. Of course, the question is, does Tielemans want to come to Arsenal? And if the question is yes, he does, then he might push and force his way out and try and get a move for a little bit cheaper. But I expect that one to be lastminute.com. As for a defensive midfielder, I have heard today some mild rumours about us going in for PSG's move for Paredes. Now, that's a player that apparently we're looking at alone. Looks like he might be going to Juventus, so I can't see that one happening. But we're trying to get involved with that now due to the injury to Mohamed El Neni and, of course, Thomas Partey. It's a position we need to fill, guys. We've been linked with Milinkovic-Savic. We've been linked with Tielemans. We need a destroyer. And I don't know who that destroyer is going to be at the moment because we are not linked with any that I think are realistic targets. He is the only one. Paredes from PSG. I don't know what people would think about that. Let me know in the chat. I'm not so sure what people's thoughts are about him as a footballer. 28-year-old Argentinian who, let's be honest, has never really sort of cut the mustard at a high level at PSG, but they have got some fantastic players, albeit like Verratti, for example. So let's have a look at what we do in that position now. It could be that CDM was not a role that Arteta or Edu thought Arsenal needed. That concerns me because we saw last season the main reason that Arsenal didn't get top 4 was because of injuries to Tierney, Partey and Tomiyasu. Now, it looks like with Saliba coming back, Ben White is filling in when Tomiyasu's not there. But the other two positions needed to be filled. We've done that with Zinchenko now. He's covered for Tierney, but we haven't covered Thomas Partey and we haven't upgraded on Granit Xhaka. So the midfield needs some serious surgery still for me. Now, Pepe's going to go, and that's fine if Fabio Vieira or Marquinhos are their replacement. But we were going to spend 60 million on Rafinha. So now we're being linked with some other wingers, aren't we? We're being linked with Mudrak from Shakhtar Donetsk, a 21-year-old Ukrainian who is rumoured to be available for around 30 to 35 million euros, if you believe what you hear in the papers. I don't know much about him. He's only scored a couple of goals, but apparently he's been really promising from what we're talking about. Now, I believe that there's something that's going to happen, not just with this player, but something's going to happen in this position. There's Zaha rumours. The Jeremy Pino rumour came and went. Cody Gakpo rumour came and went and has come back today, which we'll go into in a minute. And of course, the other one that we were linked with not too long ago was Pedro Neto. It seems to me that we have a few on our radar and one of these is going to happen. But for what one it's going to be, I have absolutely no idea. Let's talk a little bit about Zaha. Is Zaha going to leave Crystal Palace? He's got 1 year left. Yeah, he wants to go. I'm sure he does. He looks happy at Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira clearly has had a lot to do with that. Can I see him going? Yeah, potentially. If he comes to Arsenal, it would be great because he's a big gooner and he would walk into this side. Having said that, does he want to go and better his career and play in the Champions League? And would Chelsea be a better option for him? That's a decision he will have to make. I'm not so sure I can see Zaha leaving. I think he'll probably stay at Crystal Palace and then he'll decide where he wants to go when his contract's up. That's my opinion. With the Pedro Neto one, it's gone very quiet because Wolves are suggesting that they want 50 to 55 million. And I don't think Arsenal are willing to pay that on a winger. The other option, of course, is that we've linked with a young Ukrainian player that we've just mentioned, who a lot of people are saying that would be a great signing. Now, I don't know much about him. I can't sit there and say that he'd be a great signing, just like I don't think Fabio Vieira will be a fantastic signing until he's played in the Arsenal jersey. Just like I did with Tommy Yasu. No idea what he was going to be like. He had to show me, and he showed me he's a good player. I want to see that from Fabio Vieira and Marquinhos, and I'd want to see it from this guy if we get him in. I'm not going to murder his name, but I think it's Mudrak is his surname. Mudrik is his surname. Looks a very good player from what people are saying. So maybe that one is a possibility. But where Arsenal are really short is this surgery in midfield. Now, I'm not so frustrated because Martinelli and Jesus and Eddie and Ketia are at least options there. I think Martinelli and Jesus are good enough. Eddie and Ketia is a question mark on still with a lot of the fan base, and I understand why. But there's a lot of players in that midfield that just weren't good enough. And at the start of this window, we had Torreira, we had Maitland-Niles, we had Lokonga, we had El Neni, Partey, Xhaka. Most of those players bang average apart from Thomas Partey, some would say. Now, we need to seriously upgrade that. We really do. And that destroyer has to come in. I don't know who it's going to be. Rumours of Tonali from AC Milan have done the rounds. I don't know much about him. 22-year-old, fits the bill, fits the mould, and somebody that I believe would be happy to join Arsenal. But do we actually believe that some of these positions are going to be filled is my next question. Are Arsenal going to go in and get that destroyer and that number 8? Are Arsenal going to get those two players as well as a winger? Or are Arsenal just going to try and just fail to get anybody in these coming days? And that's my biggest concern, guys. Put in the chat how many players you think Arsenal are going to buy from now until the close of window. Do you think we're not going to buy anyone? Do you think we're going to get one over the line? Do you think we'll be surprised and get the couple that we've been looking for, that right winger and that midfielder? Or are we going to massively impress and get 3 or more in the coming days? Let me know your thoughts, man. As far as I'm concerned, I think we'll get 2. I do. I think we'll get 2 more in because I think we need 2 more in. And I think actually it probably would have been 1 more. But now that we've got injury concerns in centre midfield, maybe it's a blessing. And now that couple of weeks that they're both out for might have needed to happen to wake Arteta and Edu up and say, actually, we do need another midfielder now. And that might mean that we get 2. A lot of people in the chat, you noob is saying 1. Jay is saying 1. We've got 1 again. A lot of people saying that this is poor from Edu. Yeah, maybe. Let's give them time at the moment for the last 2 days, but it doesn't look like it's too positive at the moment. 0, says Eros, typical Arsenal. Saying 2 is ambitious, yeah. Millwall Alf is saying 2. That's a lot. I would agree. Tops, absolutely. And then Wellness with Wallace is saying 0. I've seen it all before. And that's the problem for me. Are we learning from our mistakes? I think we're learning from some. Because I look at tactically what we're doing at the moment, it looks a lot better than last season. I think we've learned now that Xhaka is not a left back, that you can play other players there, i.e. at the weekend he played Saka. And I think we're now seeing some of the difference in style of play and formation on the pitch. I'll be learning in this transfer window. Well, we got our business done early, but we're still waiting for 2 or 3 more. And I do get the opinion, guys, that we finish these transfer windows many a season and say, we're only 2 or 3 players away. Or 1 or 2 players away. Why are we always 1 or 2 players away? Why do we have to be that? Why can't we just go and get the 3 or 4 that we need? Why could we have not have gone and got somebody to replace Aubameyang and Lacazette? Why could we have not got somebody to replace Pepe? Why are we still waiting to replace Bellerin at right back? Why are we still waiting for defensive midfield to have somebody in an upgraded version than Xhaka and Lokonga? Why are all these questions still there? So that's my biggest concern. And you know, we just did a show on Matisse's channel for London's Clubs Carnage, and I believe personally a lot of them were actually speaking factually. They support West Ham, Tottenham and Chelsea. They don't love Arsenal, but they're real about them. And they say the reasons we feel Arsenal is still short is because right back is an issue. Defensive midfield is an issue. Left 8 and centre midfield is an issue. Striker is an issue. Right wing is an issue. That's 5 players there. So they all think we're 5 players short. Arsenal fans will have you know we're 1 or 2 short. What one is it? Yeah? What one is it? It's going to be really interesting to see in the coming days what Arsenal are all about. Now, I want to rate some of the transfer windows of teams. I'm going to start with the players, the teams that I think have done very, very good business. For me, I'm going to rate my top three or four of teams that have done really well so far. The one I want to talk about first is the one that I think has had probably one of the best. Chelsea. And they're still not done. They are still not done. And there's rumours they're going to get the Leipzig defender. I can't remember his name. It's Varvio, was it? Well, somebody tell me in the chat how you say the name. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. The Croatian guy, 90 million euros. Romano is saying he stays on loan there, goes to Chelsea next season. That's adding to Fofana. That's adding to Koulibaly. That's adding to Sterling. That's adding to Cucurella. That's adding to the young lad they got from Villa and the young lad from Inter Milan. And of course, they're linked with Frankie de Jong, Zaha, Depay, and Aubameyang. Now, what this Todd Bowley is doing is a madness. He's showing the Chelsea fans that actually he doesn't mind that Roman spent money, because that is what we're going to do. Gvardiol, there we go. Thank you so much for that. We've also got Aubameyang coming to Chelsea as well. Yeah, it looks like he might be from what I'm hearing. And shout out to Aubameyang and his family, and I hope they're all well, because that's a madness what happened over there. But I look at what Chelsea are doing, and I have to rate their window at a 9. And it could even be the perfect window if they get them players in. There's rumours De Jong's on his way to London. There's rumours Aubameyang's definitely coming once he sorts out all the madness in his personal life. There's rumours that Zaha or Depay might actually look at a last-minute move for Chelsea. I'm hearing madness, absolute madness. Some of the players they're leaving as well, Deadwood they've cleared out has been really impressive. I've been so impressed with what Chelsea have done this window. They're nowhere near done yet, and that's definitely a side good enough for the Champions League. Anthony Gordon is another player they're linked with. Somebody's mentioned in the chat. I personally don't feel that that's going to happen, because I don't think Everton want to sell him, and I actually think Chelsea go away with one there, because 60 million for him is a madness, as I mentioned before. So Chelsea have really impressed me. I'm going to rate them a 9 out of 10 for their window. I really have been impressed with what I've seen. The other team, of course, that have impressed me is Man City. I think they've come in and they've replaced well. And also what they've done is looked at some of the backup players that they potentially needed. They've sorted their backup goalkeeper out, who's highly rated. They've looked to get another left centre-back today that they're linked with from Borussia Dortmund. Calvin Phillips is a replacement for Fernandinho for me. Jesus and Sterling have left, but Alvarez and Haaland have come in, and we all seen how great Haaland's been. It looks now that they're going to keep Bernardo Silva, and I can't see any of the others teams coming in for any of their other players at the moment. So they've had a very, very good window. You have to say that they have an 8.5 out of 10 window for me, because they've replaced and upgraded the players that they have left, and they've allowed players of top quality to leave. And that's the difference. They've said, go and have Jesus, go and take Zinchenko, Sterling can go. That's a madness. Walk into most teams. That's just how good Man City are. It's an absolute madness. Manchester United, I'm not going to give them anything more than a 6 at the moment, because they've spent 250 million, and I don't look at their side and go, wow, yet. And that's on top of the mental money they've already spent on players like Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, Maguire, Shaw. It's absolutely mad. This team has spent so much money, and it doesn't look an amazing outfit still. I think that Ten Hag will get it right, and I do believe they'll push for a Champions League space. Whether they'll get it or not is another story. I don't think they will, but they could be up there for going and having a go at it. But I don't look at their side and think, wow. So I'd give them a 6 at the moment, because the amount of money they've spent, that team should be looking a lot better. Arsenal's transfer window, I still feel we're a little bit short. I can't give it much more than 7 at a push at the moment, because I think Jesus and Zinchenko have been massive. Other than that, I'm really disappointed with the fact we haven't got that midfield sorted yet, and there's still options in our forward line that look a bit short. So I can't give it much more than that. Tottenham, again, 6 or a 7. I don't think they've had a better window than Arsenal. I think they've had a similar window. I don't think their first 11 has been completely revamped. I think Richarlison's going to come in and cause a nuisance and give some competition for when one of the front three are out. I think Basuma has definitely been their best signing for me, but at the moment doesn't seem to be playing. Jed Spence is a young prospect and someone that I think will be a very good player. Perisic is going to bring them leadership qualities, experience, professionalism, and someone that can whip a ball in and play in a few positions. So I think that's a good signing. But I still feel they're missing some players at the back, Spurs. I can't lie. The way they're playing at the back just looks okay, doesn't it? But I don't look at it and think, wow. I think they're a couple of defenders away. I really do, from having a good window. And the last team I want to mention is West Ham. I think West Ham have a very good window. I think you've got to be looking towards an 8.5 for their window. To come in and bring a left back in like they've done, to get their two centre halves in Kera and of course Aguerd, get Areola as a goalkeeper. They've sorted their midfield out with Flynn Downs. They've got some backup players like him, and of course Maxwell Cornet, who's going to come in and around their side. And they've got Scamacca and now Lucas Paqueta. That's a very good transfer window. Very, very good transfer window for me. And West Ham have to now be looking at where can we progress, because we come seventh. Can we get into that big six? Can we finish in that Europa League spot? Can we win the Europa League Conference League? I think they have to do something, because to spend that much money and get where you got last season or worse is going to be pressure on the manager and the football club and the fans. Trust me, at that place will definitely get very toxic. They're the teams I wanted to talk about. And the one more I wanted to mention was Newcastle. I think what we're seeing at Newcastle ain't finished. They're going to keep going. Alexander Isak is going to be a good signing and will score goals. Callum Wilson and Chris Wood score goals, but they're not reliable enough in terms of their injury and their consistency. I think Isak's going to definitely take them to another level. I think Bruno Guimaraes has formed a great partnership in the middle there. And if they were to get a couple more midfielders in there, I think they would look very, very strong. I think St. Maximan has proved that he's a nuisance and he's going to always create. And I think at the back, Sven Botman has given them that little bit of a cool head that perhaps they needed, and an upgrade on Jamal Lascelles. I think Fabian Schär is probably a player that can get used to the partnership that Sven Botman's going to provide. And I think their fullbacks are always going to do half decent when you've got Trippier and Target. I think Nick Pope will probably go down as one of the most underrated signings this season. I think for £10 million, they've got themselves a very consistent goalkeeper that's Premier League proven, that's an England international. And for £10 million, I think it's a really good signing. Played really well. So for me, Newcastle at the moment are probably, I would say, a 7.5. And I think that could quite easily in the next 24 to 48 hours go up to an 8 or a 9 if they get a few more players in. I imagine they will do. So this is going to be an interesting season for Newcastle United. The fan base are excited, and so they should be. When I look at what we're seeing now, are we going to get a Newcastle United that are going to push in a couple of years' time? Are they going to need 5 or 10 years? Are they going to need 5 or 10 windows? What's it look like? What's going to happen there? Like, where are we? So I look at it now and think to myself, are we in a situation where Newcastle United are going to need the Man City or the Chelsea situation of what, 3-4 years before they were properly competing? Or is it going to take Newcastle longer because of the fact that they've got so many more teams to try to compete with? And I think that's where there could be a bit of a difference, and it could take slightly longer. I've said it will take 5 years. I think it will. I think in 5 years' time, there'll be a Premier League Champions trophy along there somewhere. I think the Pep and the Klopp era would have been done by then. There'll be different managers. I can't see them being at Liverpool, Man City in 5 years' time. We could be in a different place. Tottenham could be in a different place with a different manager, which they definitely will be. Conte won't be there in 5 years' time. Where are Newcastle going to be? That's my biggest question. Where are Chelsea going to be? Are they still going to be up there? Are they going to have a different manager? So, people would sit there and say in 2004, Manchester City won't be competing no way in 5 years' time, but they were. They were taken over in 2007, 2008, and then we were signing Premier League proven players and then putting in title challenges. And then in 2011, 2012, they got one. And from there, they ain't looked back. And that's what I think will happen now. So that took them, 4 seasons to win a Premier League title. Going to be interesting, man. It really is, to see what happens there. Some other transfer rumours are going to be going absolutely nuts, guys. And the one that I have got to mention is an Arsenal one, which is Cody Gakpo. Quick. There's a lot of talk on Sky Sports News that Melissa Ruddy has said that this is an interested player of Arsenal's. And I just don't know where I see with this one. I think he's a highly rated player, and I think he can probably go across the front 3 positions. But is this a player that's risky? Yeah, it is, because we don't know what he's going to be like in the Premier League. And the Dutch players sometimes come across and are great, but sometimes they come across and are poor. So it's not a good omen with some of the players that have come over from there. I remember Vincent Janssen at Spurs has come over from there. He was poor. Matthias Kesman come over from Chelsea back in 2004. He was really poor. But we've seen some players that have come over and have done very well, like Ruud van Nistelrooy, like Arjen Robben. These sort of players come over and were fantastic. So if it is going to happen, he's highly rated. Let's see where Arsenal go in this transfer window. It's going to be interesting. Lastly, want to touch on some of the games that are just about to kick off now. So I'm going to love you and leave you. West Ham Spurs is going to be a big one. Chelsea obviously got Southampton. Arsenal got Villa tomorrow. There's going to be some good midweek games. I can't lie. There really is. And you guys need to do me a favor. You need to tune in to the Race for Europe show on Friday because that is going to be mad. Tobes and Lawless together, West Ham versus Spurs. They've both said they fancy a win. One of them is going to come out and be in the mud. So you guys cannot miss that on Friday. We're going to have all the shows. All the guys are going to be back. All the influencers are going to be there. So let's sit there and see what happens in this midweek games. They're coming thick and fast, man. They are coming thick and fast. And this World Cup year is going to mess it up a bit. So let's see where we're going in terms of the midweek games. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I fancy Arsenal to win 2-0 against Aston Villa. They're a team that I think are going to have a lot of pressure under them, in particular Steven Gerrard. Having Arsenal next tomorrow night and then Manchester City, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So looking forward to that tomorrow night. I'll love you and leave you guys. Thank you all so much for being in the chat. Big up all yourselves for smashing a like on this video. Let's get the likes up. What we got? We are on 48 likes. Come on, guys. 58 likes even. Let's get this up, man. I need to absolutely smash these likes. Smash the likes for me. Make it a good one for me as you go out. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Please, guys, it means a lot to me. I'm touching nearly on 5K, man. Nearly on 5K. 4.5 subs. I need these subs to go up as well so that I can get the likes up and the subs up on this channel because it means the absolute world to me. So thank you all so much, guys. We're going to love you and leave you now. Big up all the games tonight. Hope you enjoy your evening and come on the Arsenal tomorrow night against the Villa. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.